Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and it's the beginning of the week, and you know what that means, obviously another top 5, and today I give you my top 5 Green Arrow villains list. Now, as you all know, I'm a huge fan of what the CW has done with DC characters. They killed it with Smallville, they destroyed it with freaking Arrow, and The Flash is hands down my favorite superhero TV show as of right now, and I'm highly anticipating Season 2, which premieres next week with the premiere of Season 4 of Arrow. And for preparation for these premieres, I'm obviously dedicating this week and next week to Arrow and Flash. And I decided just to do a list of my personal favorite and what I consider to be the best villains in the Arrow mythos. Now, of course, when it comes to this particular list, I really made sure to pick characters that I personally liked because, as I stated in prior Green Arrow lists, Green Arrow doesn't have the greatest of rogues gallery in comparison to other characters like Batman and Superman and, even the Flash and Green Lantern. However, there is a little good niche of characters that are really awesome and cool to read and look at. So I'm definitely going to, pick and choose characters that I personally like. So, of course, with all lists, and specifically this one, it is subjective, and it is my personal list, my personal thoughts. So, of course, if my list differs from yours, or if there's characters that did not end up on the list, please comment below and let me know what is your personal top 5 Green Arrow villains list. But also keep in mind that the comic book version of Green Arrow is very different from the Arrow on TV. So please keep in mind that if there's a Batman villain that's not on this list, that's because Green Arrow in the comic books doesn't really take on those kind of characters. I mean, occasionally maybe on certain storylines, but overall, they're villains for other characters, not specifically Green Arrow. But that being said, before Oliver Queen returns to Star City and, of course, dons the Green Arrow persona and takes on Damien Darhk in Season 4, let's get on with this top 5 list. Coming on number 5 has to go to China White. China White is an amazing character that was designed and created in the Green Arrow Year 1 story arc, which, of course, was the major template and source material used for Arrow Season 1. So if you love Arrow Season 1, please go check out the storyline Green Arrow Year 1. It's awesome, it's badass, and I love it. And, of course, China White was one of the main antagonists of that storyline, and of course one of the main reasons as to why Oliver Queen was deserted and stranded on that island and why he became the Green Arrow. But moving off of that, going to number 4 on this list has to go to Count Vertigo. Now, Count Vertigo, for a lot of people, may be higher up on people's list on top villains for Green Arrow, but I was never really a big Count Vertigo fan. I always felt like he was kind of a unnecessarily dumbed down kind of villain for even Green Arrow's kind of standards, so I was not a huge fan of him. However, there is no real, big departure in the list. He's still on the list, and of course he has a major stamp on the Green Arrow mythos that I can't really deny, and he has a really cool specific kind of ability to render people kind of senseless and pretty much lose their kind of sense and balance, and it's a real interesting kind of ability that I don't think really, if it wasn't for that, he probably wouldn't be on the list, but because of that, he has been, a major nemesis to Green Arrow because of that specific thing that he can do. But regardless of that, moving off of Count Vertigo and going to number 3 on this list has to go down to Cupid. Cupid is one of my favorite characters. She's kind of like Green Arrow's answer to freaking Harley Quinn. She's obsessive, she's crazy, she's in love with the Green Arrow persona, and she's completely psychotic. See, she's a sociopath. Of course, if you know anything about Cupid, she had a terrible life, and of course felt obsessed over Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, after he saved her, and of course ever since then has been a major antagonist to the Green Arrow and of course Black Canary, and of course obsesses over Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, and of course tries to kill, if she can't have him, nobody can, tries to kill Black Canary. It's such a crazy ride with Cupid, but I love her for that. She's awesome, she's interesting, she's badass, she's crazy, and it's just awesome to really see how obsessive she is over a character that obviously has no interest in her. But moving off of that and going into number 2 on this list, the top two. Number 2 has to go to Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. Now, granted, Slade Wilson is a Teen Titans villain. He's specifically a Teen Titans villain. That's how he's kind of created. But the great thing about Deathstroke is that he's universally a villain. He's the main assassin / mercenary of the DC Universe. And he's been known to take on the Emerald Archer and the Dark Knight on occasion. And of course, there's an amazing storyline. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Infinite Crisis, where I think that was a moment I used in a prior Green Arrow list. But in that list, in this specific storyline and arc, Green Arrow stabbed Slade Wilson in the eye, completely losing it forever, and of course, creating a gigantic grudge match between the two forever. It's probably the biggest mistake Oliver Queen has ever done in his career that I'm pretty sure he regrets, seeing as how Slade Wilson is like the North in fucking Game of Thrones. He never forgets, and he will always hate the Emerald Archer and always fuck him at every turn for that one moment. It's awesome to just watch this character just despise another character and just completely fuck him up all the time. It's really freaking cool and badass. And of course, as you all know, I'm a huge Deathstroke Slade Wilson fan. But moving off of that, and of course, was the main reason that's why I even got into the Arrow show, because of how badass Manu Bennett's performance as Slade Wilson Deathstroke was. But moving off of that, let's name off some honorable mentions that did not get on this list, but are awesome nemesis / villains for the Emerald Archer. Let's get into these honorable mentions. Brick, Clock King, Constantine Drakon, Komodo, Onomatopoeia, which of course was a character created by Kevin Smith, which is pretty badass. And of course, Dr. Light, and I guess that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for honorable mentions. These are characters that are obviously not well known, but of course just villains, kind of like just filler villains, at least in my personal opinion, but are really awesome and really cool that you should definitely check out. But moving off of that, moving on to the number 1 nemesis, arch enemy, villain of the Emerald Archer, has to go down to Merlin. Merlin, the magician, is the definitive villain for Green Arrow. He, of course, Oliver Queen idolized Merlin's archery skills, and of course always saw Merlin as a hero. He was a personal hero of Oliver Queen's, but of course, over the years, Merlin became a villain. He became a mercenary. He obviously trained with the League of Assassins, and of course tried to kill Oliver Queen once he became the Green Arrow, and ever since then, they always had this rivalry / villainy kind of trope where they just go at each other every single turn. Merlin's an awesome character. He's a badass, and of course, if you watch the show, a lot of you are probably gigantic John Barrowman fans, and there's a good reason for that, because Merlin is a badass character. He may not be Ra's al Ghul in the comic books, but he's still freaking cool nonetheless, and he's a badass villain. And I'm always just a really big fan of like the fallen hero, kind of, father-son kind of relationship that they have. I like those kind of idealistic story tropes where a character loves another character, but because of how much this character is evil, they have to fight each other. I always like that kind of stuff. Like, Merlin was a personal hero of Oliver's, but it just has to be this way. They just have to be at each other's throats. But moving off of that, that's pretty much it for this top 5 this week. This is my top 5 Green Arrow villains list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, if my list differs from yours, comment below. Let me know what your personal villains list is for the Emerald Archer. And of course, if you're anticipated to see Season 4 of Arrow, let me know in the comment section below. Are you going to check out Season 4? Are you going to watch it? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, next week I'll be doing a Flash Top 5, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But that being said, check out my prior Green Arrow list, check out my prior Flash list, come back next week for my next top 5 Flash list, and of course, check out Season 4 of Arrow and Season 2 of The Flash. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jonch12. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And this has been Jonch12.